we're going to be looking at court judgments in Nigeria and the fate of the electorate. The whole idea of court now having to confirm elected politicians and not the electorate or even the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is sure to undermine the voters' faith in democracy, going by the increased level of verdict by court in election cases in recent time. On Viewpoint, we're going to be sampling opinions of Benin City residents. I am Caroline Okonji.
As it were, the INEC is a statutory body that ought to determine the elected public office holders, as it were. But what we have seen in recent time that we have to resort to the judiciary to determine the true elected public officers, which statutorily INEC is made to do so. It is a total retrogression for Nigeria as a nation. And the judiciary, as it were, who over time supposed to be the hope of the common man, have over time also acted on the contrary. What the INEC and the judiciary have succeeded in doing is that they have created voting appetite in the minds of the people. While we have advancing, we're trying to advance in our democracy, the judiciary, in connivance with the INEC, have created a voter appetite, and we have taken steps backward in the history or in our struggle for the better democracy. In a situation whereby the Nigeria populate will be very willing and determined to vote for the candidate of their choice, INEC will manipulate the process and waiting for the judiciary, who is now a determined factor in the whole process, will now also come into play in a way that it's very obvious that there is a compromise in the process. So, as we speak now, many Nigerians already have that appetite mentality. They are no longer willing to go into the process because they've already seen that most times their enthusiasm is being suppressed by the actions of the INEC and the judiciary. It's a setback for us as a people. It's a setback for us as a nation. I want to awaken the conscience of the INEC to remind them that they have the statutory right to streamline, not just to determine the elected officers, but to streamline the Nigeria democracy. Because in the process where our democracy, the process that elects our public officers, is not transparent, it's a very big blow on our Nigeria democracy, and I will continue to advise the judiciary to be independent when interfering on issues that borders on the states. Nigerians came up with a popular slogan recently that all eyes are on judiciary. That shows that the people have lost faith on the judiciary. Let's not talk about the INEC, because INEC have lost it totally. The judiciary that's supposed to be the hope of the common man, the people have equally lost hope on the judiciary. So by so doing, they have been able to sell fears into the minds of the electorate. They will be able to tell the electorate that their vote doesn't count, either by the INEC or by the judiciary.
The judiciary are doing so much, all right, and victory is always of the Lord, but there are processes that we humans can always interfere. A lot of the entire process of having victory. Sometimes there are so many dynamics, in passing judgment. They have to put so many conditions, to see how. Because for me, judgment is not just by mere stories or social media, what people believe. Judiciary want to usually have facts. They need facts and figures, evidence of most of those things you are talking about. So if you don't have evidence to prove to a certain level, definitely you have judgment. If you see what happened in the last judgment in Jos, Plateau State, and you can see that a lot of conditions. You see the way the Supreme Court were able to analyze what the other lower court couldn't really interpret so much. So interpretation, understanding, having evidence to prove for victory is key for judgment. So for us, judiciary is doing so much. We need to support them more, to do more. There may be one or two occasions that people will not be comfortable with. But at the end, you see that almost 90-80% of judgment always come by proof and evidence. So coming to Edo State for this election, we believe that the judiciary will also play a vital role for us. They are able to expose us to keeping more evidence in case of, now we are prepared, a lot of the masses are already prepared to show evidence in case of any ringing, in case we have issues of maybe the riot or crisis during the election. So what the judiciary were able to do for us is to tell us, listen, if you are going to vote, make sure you vote, but if there's anything that happens along the line, make sure you have evidence to prove that your vote must be, must stand. So for us, they only just expose us to the fact that evidence is key. They also expose us to the fact that they are solely behind the poor people and they are defending the vote that we are going to cast that day. So we don't have problem. It's not going to affect anyone. Because if you watch what happened the last judgment, even the previous judgment, you can see so many evidences and so many proof.
I think in election results for court to overrule it is very welcome development. But in some cases, where the election is really flawed, it's really flawed in a malpractice in an election, for court to decide, is welcome development. But it's not encouraging for voters like us to come out massively to vote. It's not encouraging. But we see like ITV that is still pushing it to us to know that if we didn't come out to vote, automatically our vote will be still losing. We will not meet it up. We will not keep it right. Even no matter what, we will still come out to make sure we vote for our right choice, believing that it will come out. If it didn't work out this time, God will still believe that it will work out next time. I still believing that the system, Nigerian system, we are still growing it up. But this one, they turn us back for where we are coming from before. We think by now, the engage, say from Peking, you go become adult. From adult, you go become man. From man, you go become elder. From elder, before God calls you. But Nigeria system is like they needed to improve, really improve. Let all those our politicians, let them not just change this system. They should be fair on any decision they're taking.
The idea of the court now deciding the fate of the masses or the electorate is uncalled for. It's high time the INEC should wake up to their responsibility. They should be transparent enough to ensure that the vote of the people counts. Because it will be at least the idea you see the masses coming out to vote for the candidate, for their own candidate. At the end of the day, you disenfranchise them. It's uncalled for. That is what happened last time. Most people were not happy because we were expecting the INEC to transmit the result electronically so that everyone will see it. But it wasn't so. But election is coming forth now in Edo State this year. Edo don't be Lagos. So we want Edo to be a peak sector for others. So we are expecting the INEC in Edo State to be sincere and to be transparent enough to ensure that if they are going to do it manually, they should tell the people they want to do this election manually so that people will be prepared. If they are going to do it electronically, they want to transmit it, let the people be aware of their decision so that they will know how to prepare. It's not the idea of joining the masses, tell the masses we are going to transmit this election electronically. At the end of the day, you are now using manual collation, which ought not to be so. I don't want the court to decide the fate of the masses. We don't want the court to begin to preside over election or people taking case to court. Let the election be fair enough. Let people see that at least this is the person we vote for. If INEC do the needful, I don't see the need for people taking their counterpart to court.
According to Abraham Lincoln, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That is to say, the people decide or choose anybody that has the capability, that has the capacity to lead them, to govern them. The way it is in Nigeria today, election is not free and fair. People will go to the field and vote. At the end of the day, when they declare results, the results will not go down well with the people. The people will say the person they voted for was not declared the winner. And if there are a series of protests that greeted that electoral process, you will see the person that was declared the winner will say, go to court. Because they know that when the matter goes to court, the court will definitely validate that fraud called election. You are fully aware of what transpired when the Supreme Court affirmed the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Ahmed Tinubu, as the president duly elected. You know what the obedient did? You know, some of them, in fact, majority of them were frustrated. They said there is no hope for this country as far as judiciary is concerned. We want a situation whereby the vote of the people will count. But when we continue to experience a situation whereby the court validates what is absolutely contrary to the will of the people, it will go a long way to discourage the people. I have interacted with a lot of people who said no, that they are not going to cast their vote again. They are not going to exercise their franchise. That because on the ground that election is not free and fair, that if the election is declared, the court will validate the fraud that brought that person. We want a situation whereby election will be free and fair. That what transpire on the field will reflect on the result, so that at the end of the day, the people will be very, very happy. The people will be ecstatic and exhilarated that their vote counts. Something needs to be done with immediate effect and alacrity to address this process.
We have electoral laws that govern the conduct of elections in this country. And being a sovereign state, we are subject to those provisions of those laws. Be that as it may, I strongly believe that for equity, fairness and justice, I think after the elections should be subject to scrutiny in the eye of the law, which of course is the law courts. And if the law courts have to be seen to manifestly do justice, it must follow stricto sensu to the applicable laws for the elections, which is of course the Electoral Act as provided for in Nigeria here. And if they are to abide by those provisions, then we cannot outrightly say that they are the one deciding for the electorate per se, because it is the electorate and the law that are subjected it to them, the courts. And whatever the court says becomes the law. If the electorate felt that, look, that ought not to be, then it will also go through the National Assembly to amend the electoral laws that govern elections in the state. If the electoral law actually says the court cannot adjudicate on any electoral errors or mistake, or as the case may be, if there are some cases of elections riggings, and then so be it. But if there is law provision for that, I think the court is doing the right thing by looking at it in the eye of the law to adjudicate on the electoral matters. Be that as it may, I think, in my own personal opinion, the only areas where the court may not or the court may or ought not to is as regard to looking at the the counts, the votes, the ballots. Because if the court decide to go back and start looking at that, counting, there's still going to be some fraudulent manipulations, because these are still going to be done by the same INEC officials who have counted it before. So on my own part, the court is not doing badly, going by all the judgments so far that we have heard as regard to the governorship elections. Take for example, I think that should be Benue, where Reverend Father won squarely. I think they are doing well, in my own opinion.
With the popular slogan or the saying, all eyes are on the judiciary, it goes to tell you that yes, much is actually expected of them to do as far as election is concerned. It is Viewpoint on ITV with